All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, Ba'ashim Avakar Kodash, and double honors to the apostles of the great millstone, and as well as also giving salutations thereof towards the Akim out there that's forwarding this ministry, and Shalom to the true, genuine listeners and learners that are learning of this thing out of the sincerity of their hearts. Once again, it's the brother Laban coming at you with another video. And in this video, what I want to get into is something that happened in Georgia with these guide stones, which have been standing up for some time now, that they've been demolished. And I just want to get into that just real quick and go over other things later on as well. So let's get into this. It says Georgia Guide Stones Monument is destroyed after explosion. The monument, dubbed America's Stonehenge, was demolished after an explosion device was detonated at the site, authorities said. A Georgia monument that drew curious visitors and was derided by a gubernatorial candidate as satanic was destroyed Wednesday after authorities said someone detonated an explosive device at the site. The Georgia Guide Stones, a granite monument adorned with a message about the conservation of humanity, was demolished for safety reasons at the 4 a.m. Explosions in Elbert County, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation said in a statement. The agency released surveillance video showing the explosion and the silver sedan leaving the scene shortly after the detonation. No motive has been identified, and the agency has only said that unknown individuals detonated the devices. The monument, dubbed America's Stonehenge, stood at 19 feet and contained a 10-part message in 12 languages, according to the tourism site Explore Georgia. So that's all I have to read right there. So the Georgia Guide Stones, yes, Salakia for that. So yeah, basically, as what we saw in the video, the Georgia Guide Stones were destroyed due to the detonation, and I think they're still going to be looking into this further more investigation. And it's funny because I have to mention, I believe one of the brothers, I didn't see the brother's video, but I believe the brother probably mentioned it in the video, and as to why did this happen, and the reason why it happened is because Esau is up to no good with CERN again. And I believe a while back, CERN, it was revealed to them through CERN that their days were numbered. So now they've messed with it as of recently, and now this has happened. And this has got to be symbolic in saying that your time is up, Esau. And that's just me personally saying this. This is just what I'm thinking right now. As I'm looking at this article and reading on how this monument or these monuments have been disturbed by an explosion. All right, and I did see another video of the bulldozer coming around pushing the guide stones to the ground as well. So yeah, at the end of the day, as I'm going to say, and I'm going to say this again, as I believe to think that this is symbolic of Esau's end, and it has to be the end of the world right now, because the times have gone so out of controllably wicked that it has to be the end. It would have to make sense that we're at the end of Esau's latter days, and that we have to be transitioning. So I just want to read 2nd Ezra, the 4th chapter, in verse 37. By measure have he measured the times, and by number have he numbered the times, and he doeth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. Right? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to read from verse 35. Actually, we'll begin by reading verse 34. And he answered me, saying, Do not thou hasten above the Most Highest, for thy haste is in vain to be above him, for thou hast much exceeded. Did not the souls also of the righteous ask questions of these things in their chambers, saying, How long shall I hope on this fashion? When cometh the fruit of the floor of our reward, right? And unto these things Uriel the archangel gave them answer and said, even when the number of the seeds is filled in you, for he have weighed the world in the balance. By measure have he measured the times, and by number have he numbered the times. And he doeth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. And that's something that Esau is not privy to. And this is where we come in. We come in and tell them, look, this is your time. Your time is up. All right. You came into the power seat 3 times as the Greeks, as the Romans. You failed as the Romans. You know, we came into the power seat. We had a measurement of time ruling in England and stuff like that, in the many different parts of Europe too. And we came out of power, right? And now you're back into the power seat again to fulfill, the last part of the statute, which is the tolls, the 10 tolls. This is why Esau is back into power again, fulfilling his measurement of time. And I have to read the book of Job 14 in this case, right? Verse 5 to be exact. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee, and thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. So the Heavenly Father has appointed a time period, a measurement of time of rulership. So it seems like Esau has been ruling on borrowed time, but he hasn't been ruling on borrowed time. He's only been ruling times of what the Lord has given him to rule on, right? And he's about to approach, or they're about to approach the end or their limit of time. And when they approach their limit of time, then it's up. It's done at this particular time. Then eventually it's going to be done. We're going to be having to move forward now into another kingdom. And as well as the elites know, they watch our videos, and they've known this before we've known this. They've known that eventually the days are going to come where justice will come to serve, and they're going to be our slaves as well as we were their slaves. All right. And we're going to do just as much, if not worse, to them than what they've done unto us. They know that this time is coming. This is what they fear the most. And this is why they're working tooth and nail to get this one world system up and out of them, hoping that they can prevent that from happening. They can overturn prophecy. And if much more, alter the story of creation. That's not going to happen. And just what was told to the king of Babylon at the time, there was a sign that was shown to him, that was revealed to Daniel, and he basically told him this was the writing on the wall, right? Right. Belshazzar, the king of Babylon at the time. So this reads in Daniel's 5:22, and thou his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thine heart, though thou knowest all this, but hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords, thy wives and thy concubines have drunk wine in them, and thou hast praised the gods of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, receive not, nor hear, nor know, and the God in whose hands thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. And this is the writing that was written. Many tekel up Harzan. This is the interpretation of the thing. Many, God have numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balance and art found wanting, which means undisciplined. Paris, thy kingdom is divided and given into the Medes and the Persians. So that was revealed to them. That's what was told. That the writing on the wall represented that your kingdom is going to be measured, and the Most High have numbered your kingdom and have finished it. And it eventually it's divided onto what? The Medial Persians, which the Medial Persians were going to come in next after the Babylonians. So when they got that message from CERN in the Paleo Hebrew, that's exactly what the message was. The message is the fact that it was the end. Okay? is the end. And being that they've recently been messing with CERN, as brothers have already brought it out, this has happened. And now you have the situation with Boris Johnson over here, down here in the UK. Our government is crumbling apart. And Boris Johnson and his whole entire cabinet has resigned. Now they're hoping that they can have him to continue to rule for a particular amount of time until they can find someone else. So let's read this. This is Boris Johnson's resignation. What is going on in the UK politics? And Boris Johnson, the UK Prime Minister, announced on Thursday that he would be stepping down as leader of the ruling Conservatives in the face of a torrent of resignation by ministers and mounting pressure from within the party. For now, he is still Prime Minister, but his resignation triggers a contest to replace him as head of his party. The winner will become both party leaders and Prime Minister without the need of a national election. Johnson had faced growing calls to go after claims that he lied about the circumstances in which he gave a key role to an ally who was forced to quit the last month over accusations that he had groped men. Right, that was, I think the guy's last name was Pinch. And I mean, come on, man. I mean, this is what they get up into doing. This is normal. You know, carrying on in the House of Parliament. I've read articles about how you had a couple of members of Parliament snorting cocaine in it. And just doing as they may, doing whatever they want to do, you know, watching pornography and things of that nature. I mean, this goes on all of the time. All right, that's nothing new. That's not a big deal, you know. But at the end of the day, our government has been crumbling apart and is crumbling apart. Is crumbling apart, and that's the way it's looking right now. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end, of course, because guess what? The agenda will still be ongoing in terms of the banking elites. But as the bankers are, which are in power of dominating over these politicians anyway, the politicians don't have no true, genuine power. This is not a good look onto the bankers. There's another article out here too that I'm going to read to you as well, that they're saying that Theresa May could be drafted in as caretaker prime minister. Former leader could step up when Boris Johnson quits, sources say. Theresa May could return as caretaker prime minister if Boris Johnson resigned, Tory source said last night. A well-placed source said the former PM was uniquely placed to step in if Mr. Johnson tries to order a snap election or quits straight after being ousted in the break with convention. And again, I have to say this again. This is not looking good for the banking elite, because you mean to tell me they can't find anybody else to play their games? So they have to go back to digging into the crates, and they got to get dusty ass turkey looking woman over here, such as she reminds me of a turkey. That's why I said that. I couldn't help myself, but they gotta go back to the shelves and dust off Theresa May and bring her back in office. That's not a good look. We're supposed to be moving forward with these politicians, not going backwards. So again, this is not a good look for the third time, as I'm going to say. This is not a good look for the banking elite, because what they're basically saying to us down here in the UK is that we can't find anybody else that can play our games, that can do a better job in governing the country. Okay? And just as I entitled the video, it's simply the end for Esau. It's the end for these Edomites. We don't have another 100 years. This empire has not another 100 years. This has to be the time of the end. We have to be transitioning now. All right? Because this world doesn't make any sense anymore. And what they're about to do, this one world system, is definitely not going to happen. You know, we've just seen what happened to the George Guidestones, which this plays a major part of their New World Order agenda, maintaining humanity on the 500 million, which is one of the top commandments. On this Georgia Guidestone, which was disturbed by an explosion, which is symbolic, as I'm going to say, once again, the fourth time coming, that it spells the end. It has to be symbolic of Esau's end. Okay? I mean, I can't put it any elsewhere differently than that. It's the end. All right? So that's all I have to say. With that, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and the Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim of the Kodash. And with that, I'm out, closing, and I say Shalom.